If you want to get yourself one of these Porsche 911 Safaris, are you better off building it? Or are you better off letting someone else go through the trouble and getting a bargain on a Safari on BAT like this one? Let's find out.
Bit Nerds is your daily YouTube card game show, where we predict the online auction results of the most interesting cars on Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, Hagerty Marketplace, and more. It's just like the Price is Right game show. Play along and see if you can beat the nerds.
First car on the list was selected by our friend Chef William, who runs the food at the country club at Red Rock Country Club in near Summerlin. Is that the right way to say that, JP? Chef selected for us, Mental, the 1985 Porsche 911. This is an ROW, which stands for Rest of the World. This is not a North American car, but in 1985, Rest of the World 911, built as a Safari. Chef liked this particular car, sent it to me and John, and asked us for our bids. I, of course, responded to Chef's text and gave a bid, and JP, I don't think, has ever seen the text. In any case, moving on, our car is located in Statesville West, North Carolina. Mental, tell me you've raced there before.
Nope.
Whatever. Can't win them all. This car was built by Sports Purposes Garage East between 2022 and 2023. It's equipped with Terra Engineering MCS suspension, braid wheels, PIAA. How do you pronounce that, Mental? Pia? Is it Pia?
PIAA is actually how I always say it.
Yeah. Safari lights, tubular bumpers, carbon fiber ducktail, rear deck lid, dance mufflers, and classic retrofit electric air conditioning. Topped off with a Momo steering wheel, some sports seats, and a Wren shift shifter with RS door card panels, and a custom fabricated aluminum fender liners and skid plates. The car is Grand Prix white, has a 3.2 flat six paired with limited slip differential, and service in October 2023 included changing the oil and replacing the first gear slider, synchro, and brake band. Look, this is a super nice car. Looks like it was built to a pretty decent standard. We love these things. I think everybody, all of us to a man, would love to have one of these cars. But this looks like a pretty nice one. A lot of them are made with SCs, and those are punchy little engines and probably a tiny bit lighter than these cars. But this one looks really nice. I love it in white with the white wheels. It's got some super chunky tires on there, JP. And the mud flats. What more would you want? Super cool car. I bet it sounds great. And look, it's got sports seats and the whole shebang. I like this thing. So JP, there's no air conditioning from the factory, but it does have air. It's got 156,000 miles on the car. What do you like and what don't you like about this? Because you know these cars intimately better than I do. So what might this car be missing, or could they have gotten something wrong? Otherwise, do you like it, and what do you endorse it?
Yeah, I like it, but I don't think it's not like a stellar build. It looks like it's pretty kind of run-of-the-mill. It's got a lot of the stuff that's just kind of bolt-on. It doesn't look like it's really, this is definitely not a Keen, like a David Keen build or a
Lee Keen.
Lee Keen or what is it, the Smith guys up there, or not Smith, Kelly Moss. It's definitely not a Kelly Moss build, but it's nice. It's good enough. If you're going to do Safari, though, I feel like it's got to be a G50. Because when you're shifting around in the mud and the dirt and stuff like that, I don't know if I really want to be fighting against a 915. And I know, and I like 915s, but let's face it, they are a little bit more of a struggle to deal with. And a lot of times when you're dealing with this kind of weird traction stuff, you really have to be all over the place with your shifting, especially in a car that has not a ton of torque. So you're really going to be messing with it if you're going to be using it for its purpose. I just don't think I would build an older 911 or anything other. I mean, this wouldn't be an older air-cooled 911 because it is still a 3.2, but it doesn't have the G50, and I think that's going to hold it back. But no, it's a cool car. I just wondered if these are kind of if people are a little done with it. Is the Safari thing still a thing? Do people still care?
You're getting some agreement from the herd. Yeah, some people like it, some people hate it.
Yeah, I mean it's cool at the right
outside,
price.
John, isn't it the right time of year to buy a car like this?
Yeah, I mean, well, there's something to be said for that. This is definitely going to get you, something that you can absolutely use right now. But are people really going to be willing to pay for such a niche, weird 911? I think, if this were a regular 911 with that was totally stock in this nice of condition, I think it'd probably go for more than it's going to go for with all the Safari stuff. What do you think, Wade?
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think there is a market for this car right now for the winter time, for the off-road season. And I think that the market for this car was really hot a year or two ago. And there were some Safari builds that were going for tons and tons of money, $250,000, which is crazy. But those were not this car. This is a very tame build, arguably very nice, but not particularly over the top. I mean, even some obvious stuff, a roof rack would have been nice, some, changing up the interior, doing a little bit more with the exterior, suspension wheels, some parts and pieces to kind of make it even a little more aggressive, I think would help its mass appeal. But at the same time, I think this is a car that it kind of applies to a lot of different people. It applies to the car people, the off-road people, the people who want something quirky and interesting and unique. And I think if you don't want to spend six figures, you may not have to here. But I don't know if it's like the all-in crazy Safari build that I would be looking for. And this is definitely a car I would consider because it's kind of the best of both worlds, but I think I'd still want more. I want more Safari if I'm going to do it.
Good take. What do you think, Mental?
I could see how people say this is done and it did get overplayed, but I don't think they're ever going to go away because it is a fun thing to drive. And I maybe one day I can afford one of these things if everybody's mad at them. So, people are still building them. They'll still be out there, and that'll bring a price down for one of these cars to something that a bottom feeder like me can have. But this, I actually like that it's not an over the top build. I wouldn't add anything to it. I would leave it exactly as it is.
The big question I have for you guys right now, being that it's almost the end of the year here, we're definitely seeing car dealerships being affected by the end of the year, right? Car dealerships, the way the management gets paid, the way the salespeople get paid, they get bonuses for overall sales at the end of the year. So there's a lot of pressure on car dealers to sell cars at the end of the year. It makes a big difference on whether or not they're, how many losses, losses can actually help them in some situations, right? If they're trying to get some losses against if they made a bunch of profits at the beginning of the year, it kind of behooves them to sell cars at a loss now because they can do write-downs, all kinds of stuff like that. They can also do write-downs at the beginning of the year. So there's a lot of math going along at car dealerships right now. And so if you want to buy a car from a car dealership, now is probably the best time of year. There's a lot of excess inventory in regular cars, normie people cars. So we know there's a lot of downward pressure on prices for car dealerships, but is there that pressure? Is there an opportunity to get a deal on an enthusiast car because it's the end of the year and because it's a weird time of year? Michael Deeb, with all that said, what do you think this particular Safari will bring?
Yeah, based on your sort of open-ended question, I don't think there's any pressure to get something like this. This is a guy at home that wanted a Safari, and if this one appeals to him, because every Safari build is different.
That's not. Hold on, I got to interject. The question isn't does somebody? I'm saying, is there downward pressure on the prices? Is this a good time of year to get one?
Oh, well, yeah, I think that might be the case. This guy's getting off this car in December, so he needs Christmas money or winter holiday money, or he's just done with the car. So yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's a pretty good take. Mental, will you pull up photo number 18 really quick? I just want to show something to John.
Yes, give me mere seconds. Keep talking. Talk amongst yourselves.
So JP, did you notice that this car was a slick roof?
I did not notice that.
And I am under the impression, and I could be wrong, I've been wrong many times in my life, like 3, that you couldn't get an 85 Carrera. I didn't think they brought a 3.2 to the United States that didn't have a sunroof. So if this is the body to the car that is underneath it, that's pretty interesting. Okay, wait, it's an ROW. I forgot. It's written in the title, so that's why.
Yeah.
In the rest of the world, you could have got this car with an optional sunroof. In the U.S., they only came with sunroofs. So it's kind of a neat thing in that regard. I would have made sure that that was in the first paragraph copy, and that was not listed anywhere. And I think, again, I don't know that there's a quantifiable difference, but I think that would have been an interesting thing to highlight.
Well, once more, it seems like it's probably it's kind of thing that the car that goes more to my case that the car would be worth more if it were stock, because a slick top is absolutely something that people would want in a stock configuration. So what's this one going to go for?
Yeah, JP, look, a nice Safari, especially a 3.2, could easily bring $120,000. And here's where it gets interesting. Our car doesn't close for 2 days, but it's already at $65,000 on 13 bids. The tea leaves suggest this car is going to break $100,000, but upon closer inspection, I'm less impressed with this car than I was when I was looking at it on my phone, texting back and forth with you and Chef. So while I told Chef, I thought, at a glance, this car might be $120,000. I do not believe that. So I'm going to give you my bid at $90,000, where I do think it will sell, but I feel like $90,000 is all the money for this example right here.
Yeah, I mean, Safaris can bring that much money, but this one just isn't that good. It's just not that good a build. It's not. There's nothing. It's not a bad build. It's just not that good. I'm going to go 86,911 and send it off to Wade.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think it's the Safari build. It's an okay build. It's kind of a quirky ROW car as well, so it's not that special. I didn't think it would be a six-figure car either, so I'm at 91,911 and see what happens.
Yeah, just about a month ago, there was a sick 964 that was done right, and that thing barely made $120. So I mean, this car is nowhere near that. What do you think, Mental?
It's everything you guys are saying is true. It's great. Someone's going to get a really, really cool car, and I just hope they drive it. I am going to also go with it doesn't make six figures club, but I'm going to say it goes for 94,911.
All right.
Wow, you're the high man.
Some pretty good numbers. Kevin Bodeman out there is at 65,911. Buddha's at 81. Tom Amenta is at 87,500. Lee Patet hopping in the chat at 87,917.
And a little earlier in there, Chris Carbine was at 89,911, and Anthony was at 77,911 because, quote, lose in 5 years' time with these Safaris.
All right. Ross, does Ross think it's going to get over 100? Is he at 100 too, or what's he saying? I'm not sure if I'm...
Yes,
Chef?
Ross did. He's saying 102.
You think it's going to break 100?
Hey,
is that
JP?
Is that in like New Zealand dollars or something like that? What are those worth?
Yeah, kangaroo bucks.
Hey guys, I gotta tell you about our friends Godden Porsche of Las Vegas and Godden Classic. If you're looking for a new Porsche or a classic, you gotta call our friend Steve at Godden. Save yourself the hassle of screwing around with all the auctions like we always talk about, and just talk to Steve. He'll find you the classic Porsche you're looking for. Godden Porsche of Las Vegas. Hey guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if Bid Nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer, AP, or any fine timepiece is in tip-top shape. Our Smiths, fine Swiss repair.
It's a Safari style, rest of the world, 1985 Porsche 911 Carrera Coupe. 85, of course, is the 3.2 liter Carrera. The ROW is going to have a slightly higher compression ratio, the higher compression ratio motor. These motors typically make 231 horsepower, where our 3.2s make just under 210 in California and just under 220 in the other lower 40, what would be left, 7. This car seemed like a project started, but by the time we all got done with it, it left a lot to be desired as far as still had kind of standard seats. There was no roll bar. The interior was rather vanilla. They did some RS door cards and a Momo, but then all they did was really jack it up. It doesn't have fancy or special wheels. I don't know. We were all like, really? We know that some of these fancier builds by brand name builders can bring big money, but this just seemed like a garagiste version of the car. With that in mind, all of our bids were under $100,000. I started the bidding at $90,000. JP came in at $86,911. How cute. Wade at 91,911, and Mental, the high bidder, at 94,911. Mental, do we have the gallery of bids? Did that get posted as we're talking about this car?
We're waiting on our nerd herd
That's right.
scorekeeper.
Randy's
to
usually
post
keeping
it.
store, right?
Rambling North
that's
that copied and pasted. I'm sure it'll be there in mere seconds.
Yeah. Randy's putting out the cigarette right now. He's like, oh, hold on a second. But anyway,
He's also finishing his guy's customs order.
Very nice.
He is indeed. Thank you, Randy. We appreciate that. Most of the bids were in the same range as us. I don't remember anybody like jumping way out there. Our car sold for $140,000 on 43 bids. I would say that is more than all the money. In fact, to me, John, that number doesn't make sense. We used to joke when nobody was watching this. Sounds like they're laundering money because this doesn't. That number for the car I'm looking at, good God, I could just jack my car up and get $160,000 for my car because my car is arguably rarer than this. I just, none of this makes any sense to me at all, JP. It's a 915 gearbox. It's a standard interior. The car's got dents and dings. I thought this could be, at your number to Mental's number in that $85,000 to $95,000 range. This is a car you could pick up and then put a few more bucks into it and make it the special car it deserves to be. Somebody paid special car pricing for a car that I don't think is that special. John, what say you?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think, look, everyone keeps talking about the end is nigh. Everyone's talking about how the used car, oh my God, used cars, everybody's jumping ship, the sky's falling, everybody's freaking out. But BAT over and over and over and over again, every car that I've been watching all week, and I've been watching some very closely, everything's still selling crazy high. There is a bunch of money in the system when it comes to people looking to buy enthusiast cars. Maybe people are looking to hedge their bet. I don't know what the hell's going on. Yes, Ford F-150s and Mach-E's and any kind of normie car, Hyundai, whatever, those cars are, any used cars, just regular used cars are absolutely dumping in price. But enthusiast cars, this car right here, this is a neat car, but it is not a $140,000 car. Even when things were crazy 6 months ago, a year ago, I don't think this car should have brought 140. I think there's just some people out there just going, okay, I still got to get it on this, and they didn't get the memo. I don't know. What do you think, Wade?
Yeah, I agree. I think the theme of this show is we were wrong in the under direction, and car prices on a lot of these enthusiast cars are still really, really high. And like you said, people all over are clamoring high interest rates. They're clamoring the car market is falling. They're clamoring the winter months are here. But yet week after week, I feel like more often than not, these cars go for like 20 or 30% more than we ever imagined. And this is a prime example. I agree. I don't really think this is that special of a Safari build, especially when we know certain Safari cars command a $250,000 price tag. And peak COVID, peak crazy season, a lot of those Safari builds were, and we thought this was a $100,000 car at best. And somebody said, I'll raise you another 40 grand and then some. So kind of weird. Maybe we missed something, but I don't think so. And maybe this is the right winter car for somebody, I guess. Maybe somebody looks at all those $250,000 Safari builds and is like, wow, I got one that almost half off, but this really isn't that special. And it kind of reminds me of the fad of the lifted trucks that are in right now and all the Meekum and Barrett Jackson auctions where people have the K5 Blazers and the Broncos and stuff, and they lift them, they put on big tires, and they're $100,000 trucks now. And I'm like, why? I don't know, but people seem to be interested, I guess.
Mental, I know you wanted to get in on one of these thinking that maybe they were going to finally be cheap enough. What do you think of this result?
Jesus,
Yeah,
right. And if you look at the scores of the herd, no one in the herd guessed over 100 grand. So this didn't just throw the four idiots in the room off. It threw some serious experts off. I kick it back though. Do you think at 140, knowing that this was a driver quality car that went for collector car money, do you think the new owner is going to actually drive it? Are we going to see this car again here in a couple of years?
I mean, it's definitely I don't see somebody buying this as a collector thing. Do you? Does anybody think this is a collector car?
No, but that's collector money.
Yeah, but I don't know about that. I think it's just basically it's hard to build one of these. That's one thing. One thing we know for certain is that the cost of building anything cool is crazy. So if you have something that is built, maybe a backdate or something like a Safari or whatever, and you want one and you want to build one, it's going to cost you more than $140,000 even to build one that's not the best one there is. Like if you just started with this 911 stock and wanted to build it into this car, you'd easily be in $1.50. So I guess maybe people are going, if I want something weird, I don't want to build it and I don't want to wait for all the stuff. What do you guys think?
I don't know if this is that expensive of a build, to be honest. Like what more did they add to this car to make it so pricey? I mean, maybe parts and labor, but I mean, you're telling me that this is a $150,000 build at least? I don't know.
Well, start with a $80,000 car, and then so you've got let's work it out. All right, you got the hood. You've got the what's that?
I can give it to you. It's $20,000 in suspension and another $10,000 in cosmetics. Period.
No way, way more than that. Way more than that. That rear bumper alone. That rear bumper. Look at the rear bumper, Deeb. That has the slider across the back. That has the bumperettes removed, and it's all paint matched. If you had a regular bumper and you remove the bumperettes, just that is thousands of dollars because you got to fill in all the holes to paint it, and then you got to drill the thing, and then you got to put that the metal thing on there. I mean, where are you going to get that? That's probably $10,000 just for the stupid bumper. No. And the slider. Show me where you get that stuff, Deeb.
What's the slider
seriously
you're talking about?
The bar that goes across the back of the rear bumper?
Yeah.
Okay, where do you get that for less than just a metal bar? To fabricate something like that's going to cost you a couple $1,000s. The actual Porsche bumper itself. So yeah, look at that. Thanks, Mental. You've got that rear bumper. To pull the bumperettes off of a regular G-body bumper and paint it is going to be thousands of dollars.
No, $1,000 at the body shop to pull those off and fill the holes,
and then repaint it.
John.
What I know, it's not one piece. When you pull those bumperettes off, there's like 15 fucking holes on the back of that thing, and they all got to be filled in. And then you're gonna get that done for.
They fill them in.
Yeah, have you been to a body shop? Nobody's painting a bumper.
I hate to say this on the air. I just repainted my bumper on the chiffon car before I sent it off to Tony Mazzagati's before Rennsport.
Yeah, actually, I had the bumper redone on the 993 for $2,000 by the same guy.
$2,000. No, that's exactly my point. It's a couple of grand to paint a bumper, to fill in the holes and everything like that. And then you've got to get someone to drill the holes for the bar. How much is that bar? Somebody can maybe look it up. And then you got to mount that thing. Find someone to do that for. I'm full of shit when I say that it's a $10,000 rear bumper, but that's at least like $5,000 to do the rear bumper. So not to mention the front bumper and the skid plate and whatever other junk that's been done underneath.
So considering all those parts and pieces, you seem to be on the side that this actually maybe is worth the dollar and then some. I mean, if you wanted to build, if you want one of these and you want to build it, you're not building this for $20,000. No freaking way. Because this is not to this is $20,000. The suspension alone is $20,000, not to mention the bumpers and the skid plates and the lights, and then repainting stuff and the rocker panels and the kickboards and the mud flaps and all that stuff adds up. And it's not so much that the stuff itself is terribly expensive individually; it's you got to pay somebody to put it on. Yeah.
Where do you get somebody to do this?
I mean, nowadays I feel like more people are doing it though. If this were 3 or 4 years ago, I mean, nobody would have heard. 5 or 6 years ago, nobody would have heard. But now, I wouldn't be surprised if there are people out there who sell kits and parts and things. I mean, you can go through a whole shopping list like building a PC and say, I want these 12 things for my Safari build, and hopefully somebody nearby can put it together. But yeah, I would imagine it's easier nowadays too.
If it doesn't say Porsche on it, like if it were an F-250, like just some regular Joe Schmo car or 4x4 truck, and you can find a fabricator out in small town or whatever, they'll do it cheap. But as soon as they know it's for a Porsche, they start charging you through the nose. So yeah, I'm not saying it's worth it. I'm saying that if you want a Safari, it's way more expensive than you think. It's a rabbit hole. But let's move on from this car. What do you guys think of the results of this crazy Safari rig? Was this well bought? Do you agree with me that that there's a major Porsche tax and trying to get anybody to work on stuff is way more expensive than people think? Or do you think it's not that big a deal and you can just go down to the cheap part of town and find someone to do some paint work on your Porsche? Let me know how that works out for you. Hey, wait, I just wanted to, Kevin Bodeman says he agrees with me. Sorry, Kevin, that's a bad thing to do. Never agree with me, but Kevin's right. Hey guys, thanks for watching this clip of the Bid Nerds podcast. Play along with us live every Sunday and Wednesday night at 6:30 p.m. on YouTube. And see if your bids stack up to the rest of the nerd herd in the chat live. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Nerd! Get those nerds!